All right, today we're going to continue on the part-time stringing business. And today I really want to get into pricing and retaining customers. Recently, somebody reached out asking about racket stringing labor prices. Have they increased? As the economy is changing and as everything else seems to be an inflationary period and things seem to be 15 to 20% higher. How is that affecting tennis? How is that affecting our labor rates? How is that affecting what we can make or our profit margins? And so I think talking about pricing and retaining customers is pretty timely here. So Brad, thanks for coming on again this week. But yeah, so when I think about pricing, um, there's kind of three things that I was thinking about as far as myself when I look at that. Looking at your geographic territory, where are you? Who is around you? What are your competitors? What's your expertise? Experience do you have? How long have you been stringing? And then what kind of services do you offer? So those are the kind of three things that I'm thinking about when it comes to, how to really think about pricing my racket stringing in as to where I live. And so those are, I think, three factors that everybody has to kind of take into consideration when you're looking at pricing. And now with things becoming more expensive, does that mean that we should be charging more? I mean, I know a lot of strings are costing more. If you look on as you're buying more strings, especially natural gut string, and applies for many of the other strings, you got to really look for deals, find the best prices you can. But what do you think, Brad? What's your take on pricing and so forth?
I agree with the things that you said. I mean, you have to look at your competition, and certainly, your turnaround, which is the service you offer. How quickly can you get the rackets to them? I have some clients that sometimes late at night they'll ask me, "Hey, any chance you can get one or two done by tomorrow morning at 8?" And it's 8 o'clock at night. And I always try to do that. I always try to give great service, and that's the nice thing about being kind of a home stringer, working out of your place, is you can kind of offer stuff that a shop can't offer. You
Yep.
can be on call on holidays if you want and stuff. And so it's a nice service, and it's a kind of nice amenity for you to have that other retail locations can't offer, or won't offer usually. I mean, I suppose they could if they wanted to give you their personal numbers. You could call them and say, "Hey, can you meet me at the shop?" But anyway, I think that's important. My labor rate is pretty much going to remain what it is because of the competition around here. I don't want to be too high, because no matter how good you are, people really, especially like you said, in this economy, they say inflation, but some people say it's 70 years, corporate profits are higher than they've ever been in 70 years.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit of both, maybe. But it's one of those things that I've decided to keep my rate what it is, just based on competition around. I'm getting 20 a racket. Um, and then I just whatever the cost of the string is, and so I just add that cost onto the labor, and that's what it is.
But of course, you're adding a percentage, like whatever the string is costing you plus a percentage, or are you just going straight off of cost?
What I
And
do is I try to, if I can, find deals throughout the year, and what I will do is generally charge my customers what they would pay if they were to go on to any of the big tennis websites to buy the string. So if they're paying 23 or whatever for NXT, or 22, um, that's what I'll charge.
okay,
And
okay.
maybe I'll get it cheaper, maybe I won't, but I just kind of, that's what I do.
Right. And then of course, I mean, we have to be aware of, the taxes that we have to pay, and
Yeah.
then also shipping.
Yeah, I pay attention to that. It's, unfortunately, racket stringing is a taxable business, whereas
Yeah.
tennis lessons, I don't have to tax my tennis lessons. So if I give a tennis
Right.
lesson, there's no tax. If I string a racket for them, there's a
Yeah.
tax.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, those are all, I think, things that we have to take into consideration. And really, I think the thing that stood out there, what you were saying regarding setting yourself apart from your competition by just being able to offer some of those emergency services or kind of like short term. I think that's really that speaks volumes for retaining your clients and building up like a relationship between you and your customer, because I think that's really what the small time stringer needs to do, is really build that relationship more so than a tennis shop, because like that next point, retaining customers string, because really we got to think about this as a business, using business practices to make a successful stringing business, right? So number one, adopt customer service tools. How are you going to stand out in that customer service? Are you going
Communication,
to,
speed of it.
being available, having a way for customers to contact you? I mean, I know you have your clients can drop off rackets at your house, right?
Yeah.
They can bring them by, or you can go pick them up online. There's a lot more of those coming on, more platforms that offer, you can send your racket in and to have it strung.
Yeah.
For many people who live in geographic areas that maybe don't have a lot of access to having it done locally, they can send it in and have it done and stuff. So there's a lot of that. So just really, knowing that. The next one is apologizing when you make mistakes. I mean, how hard is that, right? We always try to, we can blame it on somebody else. Like it was the string, it was, you just hit the ball wrong or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
if a string breaks prematurely and this is a customer coming back to you, how are you going to make that right? How are you, apologizing for the mistake, or at least apologizing for the inconvenience for the customer and all those kind of things. Or
Yeah, I just had that happen to me. One of the strings broke at a grommet. There was something sharp in there, and it just happened to break. I don't think it was necessarily my fault as the stringer, but I told him that, look, I cleaned out the grommet. I put a tube in there, and we'll hopefully that'll work this time. I said it wasn't. I don't think it was a defective string. I think it was just something sharp there. It was worn a little bit. So, but it's easy to give good customer service and just take the hit. I didn't charge them for the string or the labor of it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And especially if that's a customer that you want to retain. I mean, I know every once in a while we have those customers where they're going to take as much as they can and give as little as possible, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have those customers. And then at that point you got to think, do I want this customer? Is it worth the fight, the argument about it?
I did get rid of one customer this year. I have like 90 customers, and I asked one, please don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to deal with it. I just had too much going on, and it was just too much. That was, and it was a pretty good customer too. It just was one of those things where I'm in this for the enjoyment of it, and it was just too much questioning this and that, and it just got to be more of a headache.
It wasn't a fit. Yeah, it just wasn't a fit.
Yeah, it wasn't a fit. So I said, look, you recommend you don't come back. There's plenty of other locations you can get it strong.
No, good for you. Yeah. So next thing, inspire with a mission. I guess that's just being inspired, doing your best work, having a goal, having a purpose for your business and all that. Some of these aren't necessarily maybe going to be something that we want to directly correlate, but empower customers with convenience. And I think we just talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like the convenience. How easy is it for them to reach you? How easy is it to have the racket strung? Is it going to be done on time? Can they count on you? You want to make it as easy as possible, right?
Yeah, and if it's multiple rackets, I'd be happy to pick it up. I'd be happy to drop it off. If you can drop it off, I'll bring it to your work or whatever's convenient for you. Especially if they're a pretty repetitive customer. It's good to do those things if you can.
Yeah, exactly. And this one, I like this one. Leverage personalization. How can we personalize our business, or personalize it to our customers? Giving them, knowing what their needs are, providing, if we know that our customer always likes to play with the fresh overgrip, having that available, adding that in. If we know that our customer likes to put string savers on, do that, put those in, or head tape, right? Because some customers like that. And that's, we know that that's a pain, right? Because we have to take it off and then, trying to make that work. But
we've
I
talked
think just
about
really
this before, but never do something without first, asking them, because some people might have superstitions and stuff. So look, can I offer you a complimentary overgrip?
That right there is a good, I'm glad that you mentioned that again, because that can really like kill your your relationship with that customer, if you, because you just never know. You think like, oh, this is old, this is grungy, hey, let me just replace that for you. But they might have had it the way that they liked it. So
Well,
good
yeah, I
point. Yeah.
string a racket for a girl who played at Wimbledon this year in the doubles main draw, and she had a sticker in her racket
Oh
with
yeah.
Wimbledon on it. I mean, of course, I would
Yeah.
never touch that. And I made a funny comment. I said
Yeah.
I wasn't going to replace that with my stringing label. I figured you'd want to keep that one in there.
Oh, that is so true. Because how many times are we like, let's replace our label because that one, is our competitor, or that's somebody else's. So let's put ours on there. But yeah,
Yeah,
you're right, because it could have some other meaning for this person. So
yeah,
good. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that in a while. Um, uh, Use subscriptions to bolster their experience. So I don't know, you can like maybe have packages, like a string, like a complete overhaul, spring overhaul, racket overhaul, get it ready for the summer season, both the rackets to spec, so they're the same, or just some type of service like that. Educate your customers, educate them about, we talk about that all the time, right? Educating them about string, being knowledgeable about string, being knowledgeable about the different types of ways to string, different tensions, how to care for your racket, how to upgrade, and
yeah.
finding the right racket for you, and all that kind of stuff. Offer support on the right platforms. So maybe if you're maybe have a way to get in contact with your customer via email or texting if they prefer texting, or if you happen to have an Instagram account, and maybe you can connect with your customers that way. Just
Yeah, how
whatever
would you like me to
platform.
contact you when I finish? Not everyone
Yeah,
wants a phone call. Not everyone
yeah,
wants a tag. They might say
yeah.
email me or text me, or yeah, you can call me. But how would you like me to contact you when your racket's ready?
Yeah, that's huge, because some people always just do the same way, and then maybe there's a lot more efficient way of doing it. And sometimes some of the softwares that we use for stringing also have a built-in way to connect to your customer as well.
Yeah.
Building trust with your customer, right? Getting it done when they need it. They can always count on you to be there. If by chance you're going on vacation for a long period of time and aren't going to be around, try to connect with those customers who you think that might need your services on a regular basis, so that there's no surprises like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah, I
I need to
did
buy
that a few
rackets
months
from.
ago. I
Yeah,
did that to a customer. I said, by the way, I'm out of town next weekend, and they thanked me. They said, I'll drop it off Wednesday to get it done.
yeah, that's awesome. Form a community around your product or your service. And I mean, I guess that's just kind of like maybe in tennis, when there's a grand slam around, really building that up, that momentum, and bringing it into your string business. Look for what's being promoted out there, see how you can kind of integrate that into your stringing business. I'll just leave it at that. Establish loyalty with one of a kind product, and that's kind of like if you're customizing your product or offering strings that you like, hybrid solutions. That's kind of a customized product. Use referral program. If somebody maybe refers a new customer, then you give them a free string job, or buy 5 strings, and the sixth one, maybe you get a free overgrip or a free something.
Yeah, I've
I
done things like that. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I try to stay away from is I try to stay away from giving away free labor, because
Uh-huh.
that's kind of like the core of your business, right? Is the labor.
You know what's worked
Um,
for me is, instead of giving free racket stringing, is I will get a unique case of tennis balls. It might be you can buy the Wimbledon Championship balls or the French Open Championship balls. And if someone refers someone to me, or if someone's just a great customer, I'll give them a complimentary can of balls every once in a while. Hey, I appreciate your business. I appreciate the referral. And they
that
like it because it's a unique
Yeah.
can. It's a French Open can, or it's a
hmm
Wimbledon can.
hmm Right, and the cost of that is much less than the $20 that you lost
Yeah.
for giving them a free labor. Because when we don't think about that sometimes. It's like, buy 5 and get 1 free kind of thing, right? It's like, you're paying $100, let's say, because 5 labor at $20, it's $100, and you're giving them 20. They're getting basically 20% off everything, and so
Yeah.
that's too much, I
Yeah.
think, over, because that's always going to be your standard. So you're always discounting at 20%, basically. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
I mean, I understand that there is a reasoning behind that, and build a client base, have people coming back to you and all that. But there's other ways to do it. I like your idea of giving away tennis balls and stuff.
And even a few weeks ago, I have a customer who's a great customer, and when he picked up the rackets, I sent him a text message. Hey, just in case I don't say this enough, I just want to remind you how much I appreciate your business and having you as a client.
Yeah,
Just
and
remind them once in a while that
and
they mean something.
yeah, and it doesn't even need to be a can of tennis balls that are unique. I mean, I like that idea, but if you can't like maybe find something like that, or it's just cost prohibitive, maybe just know what kind of ball that they use on the court, and or write something down like that about your customer, and then like you're saying, just give them a regular can of balls that they normally use. Even that goes huge because
Right.
how many times? I mean, you always need a fresh can of balls. Around the holidays, maybe make a card for everybody. Have a card
Yeah.
that you can get to all your customers, and especially for those clients that maybe that haven't strung with you in 6 months or whatever. It's a reminder for them, right? And it's not like really intrusive because it's a holiday card. Everybody gets holiday cards. It could be
Yep.
digital, it could be electronic. You don't have to like send it in the mail or whatever, but that's why it's really important to make sure you at least have email addresses or phone numbers for all your clients. You can always send them just a thank you text, kind of like the one that you get from your dentist,
Yeah.
when it's time or whatever, how they send you a birthday wish or whatever on your birthday. And retaining customers,
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, something like that, right? That
Something like that.
totally. Yeah, so it's like keep the customers you have and so forth. So I think that's kind of just the pricing and retaining customers. That's a big part of your streaming business. Any final thoughts?
No, I think you covered a lot of good stuff, and it's good for me to remind myself of these things too. So it's very helpful. If you have a client who every 6-7 months contacts you, or they haven't had the racket strung in a year, you always I have one lady who she likes me to send her a reminder every 6 months. Remind me in 6 months to get it restrung again. That's when she likes to restring them, and sometimes she forgets. She
Mhm.
never breaks them, so it's good just to keep notes and know who your client is. And
Sure.
everyone might be a little bit different. Most of them might be the same, but you've always got unique clients out there, and know the best way to serve
Mhm.
them.
Yep. Make sure you subscribe and keep watching, and we'll see you next time.